Hello, everybody. You know that feeling when you've done all the right things and you've cleaned up your diet, you're drinking more water, and you've added the supplements, but you still feel bloated, exhausted, and inflamed? Well, let me tell you, you're not crazy. Your labs may have even come back normal, but your body is telling you a different story, right? What if the root cause isn't another food sensitivity or even stress or even your hormones? What if part of your struggle is being hijacked by something that thrives in the dark, hidden away? Now, we have talked about this and I have addressed it before, but we're going to talk about it more in depth. And if you haven't guessed it already, it is parasites. This is a hot topic lately because it is being talked about, maybe not in depth, and we're going to go a little bit deeper today. So, buckle in, because this is not a topic that is common to be talked about here in the US unless you are in the functional health, wellness, herbal space. So I know that sounds shocking, and parasites are maybe even a little unsettling to you, but stick in here with me, all right? Today I want to unpack what the science shows about parasites, how they can influence even our blood work, which is my specialty, and why supporting your body with the right herbs, foods, and even seeing what some scriptures can relate to and bring back our energy and peace to our guts. So let's get started with some reality checks, should we? The World Health Organization, not that we need to camp out on any three-letter organization, tells us that over 1.5 billion people worldwide live with, get that number, 1.5 billion people worldwide live with soil-transmitted worms. So these are like roundworms, whipworms, hookworms. So that's not fringe, you guys. This is a global epidemic that people live with. Here in the US, we often don't think about parasites as being on our turf, on our soil, in our water, or our foods. We think of it as over there, as a third world problem, right? So we don't talk about them much here. But the CDC calls them the neglected parasitic infections. And why? It's because we don't screen for them here in the US. We don't talk about them, and many physicians, unless you have clear clinical symptoms or you've traveled internationally, won't even recognize them. But this is the thing. I have lived it. And yes, my parasitic infection was from being overseas, but was still dismissed for several months. And I was extremely ill. I was dismissed by the doctors, and I needed to find a way to purge my parasites because they were killing me. So I found a holistic naturopath, and it took 6 months, and we did it wholly and completely by naturopathic, herbal, and essential oils. So that's how I ridded myself of the parasites, thanks to God's direction and leading. Yet we still see them here in our areas as well. And they have a cyclical pattern. So, what are they and where do they come from? We see Giardia here in the US, and it does come from untreated water or polluted water. And it's one of the top cases of chronic disease and fatigue. There can be severe forms, and those are the forms that are usually picked up by the medical professions. There can be mild forms of it. Toxocara comes from dogs and cats, and about 14% of Americans test positive for this exposure. And then there's Chagas disease, and more than 300,000 people in the US are living with it, and they're often undiagnosed. And then there's skin parasites also, and these are still even present in hospitals and long-term care facilities. But there's also blood parasites, and these are the ones that usually are camped out, encapsulated by the biofilms, and are not recognized by the medical community at all. See, parasites are not just over there, you guys. They're still here, and they're hiding in plain sight, causing fatigue, bloating, skin issues, and even more. And most of us are getting brushed off because we're not symptomatic or sick enough. So, how do I notice this? Well, this is where my functional blood work lens comes in. Labs can't always pinpoint the actual parasite, but they whisper the clues. See, when I look at your labs, I look at them from this functional lens, and it whispers clues as to where these parasites might be laying low within our systems. See, I can see them in the eosinophils, in the basophils, even in ferritin and iron, in vitamin D and in zinc. These depletions show me cues. There are patterns that I see that they don't look for in modern medicine. This is where the functional lens comes in. So when you have chronic symptoms that keep you feeling blah, and you know you are not at the top of your game, and you keep being told you're normal, you're fine, but you know you're not, these are the patterns and the cues that I can find and I can see with my functional lens. These are the subtle blood work shifts that start connecting the dots. Because I'm not looking at your symptoms, I'm looking at the clues, the roots of why you're having these symptoms. This is why I always say that your blood work is like your body's diary. It's telling the story, and it's whether or not that story is actually getting read, or is it just the first page and the last page? Well, from a functional lens, we want to read the whole book, getting to know who you are. All right, so now that we know that the parasites are present, what do we do about it? Well, I like to say that there is this phase that we need to go through. So one of the first phase is we need to prepare and make sure the pathways are actually draining, being able to drain. If your pathways are not draining, then you can't purge. And you need to have the pathways open and flowing. And this is one of the parts that people miss. Killing parasites is just one step. The real healing comes when we open the pathways, then we purge, then we detox, and then we build and restore. So you don't have to start a die-off or a purging during a full moon cycle, but I am actually going to be starting my own detox, and the next full moon cycle is on Monday, October 6th. So this is charted. They show the full moon cycles online. You can look them up. So if you're interested in doing a parasite purge, obviously if you don't have the items that you need, then you can contact me with the link below and we can get your kit sent out to you. But I will be starting mine on Monday, October 6th. And I'm going to be starting with this tincture, which is the black walnut hull tincture. It does have several other ingredients in it. And then that is the purge, the full moon purge. Start with the second, so it's make sure your pathways are draining. Then you purge. This is the time of the cleansing around the full moon. It's when the parasites are actively like multiplying and they're more active in the gut. And it's very observational. So the other thing we can do along with this is we can support it with our whole foods. And some of the foods that parasites are they do not like is garlic. They do not like garlic. They do not like ginger. They do not like pumpkin seeds. So garlic is studied for its antimicrobial properties. Ginger warms the gut and helps with motility. And pumpkin seeds is shown to paralyze certain worms. So you can use ground pumpkin seeds or you can eat them just right out of the package, or if you grow your own and roast them, you can eat them that way as well. Now, when you're doing a purge like this, you should definitely work with a functional health or naturopath when you're working with something like this. These are not casual DIY usage herbs. Okay, the other thing when you're adding like garlic and ginger, unless you know how they're working with you and your body's constitution and how if you're a cold or a warm person, you want to make sure that also works for you. But in this case, we're working with those herbs to do a specific process like purging the parasites. The next transitional phase is the detox transition. And when parasites die, they don't go out quietly, right? They release toxins and heavy metals that they feed off of and that they've been storing up, these mycotoxins. So this is why many people will feel worse when they jump into, cleanses. And sometimes they go too hard, too fast, and without supporting your system. So this is the heavy metal detox that I'm going to be using in my phase 2. And we support the system with the foods and the herbs that will help with this process as well, like cilantro and parsley. They help mobilize the removal of those heavy metals that'll be released during that phase. Mineral broth, like a bone broth and a mineral, they replenish what's being pulled out, and a binder. You want to take soluble fiber, chlorella, chia, flaxseed, something like that. Something that's a clean source, and being able to carry and bind to that to take those toxins out during this phase. It's also important during this heavy metal and toxin phase to stay well hydrated, making sure you have regular bowel movements, and make sure you're taking sufficient minerals during this time. It's very important. All right. Now we also go into, after we've done these two initial steps during our process, we're going to go through a restore. And for that, dandelion is extremely great. It's very nutritive. It's a bitter, but it is also very nutritious. And this is very rebuilding. Also, during this rebuilding part, to help with your gut, slippery elm, marshmallow root, plantain leaf, these are all demulcents that help coat and heal the gut lining. So knowing how your body reacts to one or a combination of those is important. So if you do not know how to use those herbs, work with someone. Probiotic rich foods like coconut yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, a probiotic nutraceutical, something that helps enrich your gut lining and re-support that is fantastic. Anti-inflammatory spices to help with rebuilding, turmeric, cinnamon, ginger, and nutrient building vitamins and minerals, zinc, magnesium, vitamin D. Usually with parasites, one of the things we see in your lab work is that your vitamin D levels will be depleted. So rebuilding your vitamin D is important for sure. So this is my trio that I will be using when I do my cleanse starting on Monday. This is from Health Primitive. I did not make these tinctures. Mine are just brewing now, so mine will be ready this fall. But this trio is from Health Primitive. All right. So I know that parasites are not something that a lot of us, like I said earlier, are used to talking about here in the US. But God is, and some of you might be fearful even about talking about parasites, but it's just a fact of life. I don't know why we here in the US think we're too civilized to have parasites, but if you're breathing and you're alive, we have parasites. If you go outside, you're going to have parasites. If you eat, you're going to have parasites. So parasites is a natural thing. So I know this might sound heavy to some of you, but it shouldn't be. And God is not the author of fear, so this should not be a fear-heavy thing. Parasites are not punishments. They're reminders that we live in a fallen, imperfect world. But God equips us with the wisdom to take care of it. What happens, though, is that we think we're superior and that we don't need to deal with it. A lot of our issues could be taken care of if we addressed it versus ignored it. So in Luke 8:17, it says that nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest. Parasites thrive in hiding, but with truth and testing, they have to come to light, and we can purge them. And these verses may not be talking about parasites specifically, but all things that are hidden must come to light, right? So we can apply God's wisdom to our health, because God's book is about all things. In 2 Corinthians 7:1, he's calling us to cleanse our spirit. But when we cleanse ourselves from every defilement of the body and spirit, it means every defilement. Well, parasites are a defilement, people. So the body and the spirit go hand in hand. And in Psalm 23:3, he reminds us that he restores our soul. So restoration isn't just spiritual, it's also physical. Just reminding you that he is with us in all things, mind, body, and spirit. So he cares about every little thing, and he's already told us the framework for life. So when we detox, we nourish, and we rest, not chasing fat, okay? We're aligning with God's design for our wholeness. So we want to be able to have space for grace and walk through this process. You're not going to get results overnight. This is a process, but it is powerful. So in the first 1 to 2 weeks, you might feel a little bit more tired as these toxins are releasing. And then in 3 to 4 weeks, bloating reduces, digestion steadies, sleep improves. And in 2 to 3 months, your labs often reflect the change. The lab works, the different levels. The ones that are supposed to come up start coming up. The ones that are supposed to go down start going down. Things start to normalize and balance. We're looking for balance. And most importantly, women are telling me they feel like themselves again. The energy to wake up in the morning, to stay sustained throughout the day, to be able to think more clearer and have confidence within their own body. So, if you've been feeling dismissed or know that you're not feeling normal, but been told everything is fine, or been told it's all in your head, or it's just stress, or you're just busy, or been given another prescription without answers, or just try this, hear me. There may be more to your story. Parasites may not be the only factor, okay? I'm not saying that it's all parasites, but it could be an overlooked area or issue for you. The path to healing is not just about getting rid of what doesn't belong, but it is about restoring what God intended. A body filled with energy, a gut to be at peace, and a spirit to be able to rest. So if you're ready to take that next step, I invite you to book a call with me, get on a parasite cleanse, and I'll walk you through those steps. Because you don't have to live exhausted. You don't have to live in this constant state of feeling bloated. You can be free, restored, and feeling whole again. So click the link below and book a call, and let's get your parasite cleanse started so that you've got all the tools you need for the next full moon cycle. I'll see you soon next week with another talk. All right, see you then. Bye-bye.